Bonjour, welcome to Wahsa Distance Education Center's radio Zoom classes. This is MEL3E, grade 11 workplace math, and I'm teacher Bronwyn Slate. If you'd like to participate live today, you can call the Wahsa studio at 1-800-465-7144 or 737-4017. You can listen on the radio at 91.9 FM and also the television at Bell Express U channel 972. You are always welcome to join me live with the Zoom link that's available both from me, your teacher, and also your DEC. Our classes are scheduled Monday through Thursday from 9 until 10 in the morning, and we are in our 7th week of our 9-week course. At this point, you definitely should be submitting work for marking. So a reminder that the support questions are practice problems. They're not for marking. They have that little pencil icon, and you can decide which ones and how many to do. If you're understanding a concept, it is totally okay to skip questions. You don't have to do them all just because they're there. But also on the flip side, if you need more practice, feel free to ask me and I'm happy to provide you with more practice. The key questions are the ones with the little key icon, and they're the ones to submit for marking. So please do all of these questions, showing all of your work, your steps, your thinking. This way I can know what it is that you know. And if you're struggling with something, I can support you and help you figure it out. So how do you actually submit your work for marking? There's 3 methods. The first is to scan your work and sign it electronically. So if you have a device, you can use that to scan your work. Apple devices have the Notes app and Android devices have the Google Drive app. Both these apps are free and really fairly straightforward to use. But if you need help, on my YouTube channel, there are tech tutorials that will help walk you through step by step how to do it. So it's a pretty useful tool. Just makes your files a little bit smaller and easier to send. Otherwise, you can send pictures if it doesn't work for you. Then you can send them to me through email to studentwork@nnec.on.ca and CC it to bronwyn.slate@nnec.on.ca. Or you can also send it to me through Facebook Messenger, where my name is B. Slate Wahsa. The second method is to drop your work off in Sioux Lookout. We have an outdoor mailbox at 74 Front Street. We are the bright red building next to the post office and have a small white mailbox next to our side entrance. So you can just drop your work off there at any time and I'll get it back to you as soon as I can. The third method is to hand your work into your DEC. Your DEC can either send your work through the Express or fax it to 807-737-1732 or toll-free fax to 1-800-463-7852. If you want to connect with me through social media, both my Facebook and my YouTube channel are under the name B. Slate Wahsa. All of our radio Zoom classes are recorded and I upload them to YouTube shortly after broadcasting and share them on Facebook. So this is a really easy way to find all of our lessons. They're all under a playlist on my YouTube channel called MEL3E. So you can find everything there. It just makes it really easy to review things, or if you missed a lesson, to go back and check it out. Also, there are short videos that explain common errors and confusing concepts that can be really useful if you're struggling with something. Math is a really visual subject. Just listening to me talk is not going to give you the full experience. So I strongly encourage you to access the videos, either watching me on Zoom. You don't have to talk to me. You could just watch, that's fine. Or watching the YouTube channels on your own time, also a great option. But if those don't work for you, then let me know and I'm happy to send you a copy of the videos if that would be helpful. So if you have any questions or concerns, please reach out and connect with me. You can email me at bronwyn.slate@nnec.on.ca. You can connect with me through Facebook at B. Slate Wahsa. Give me a call at the office at 807-737-1488, extension 2209, or toll free 1-800-667-3703. My office hours are Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 2 p.m., but I teach on air from 9 until 11, so that is not a good time to try to get a hold of me. Today is our last, I believe, Throwback Thursday lesson. We'll have new lessons next week, and then our final week we will be reviewing all of the material. So we still have some more review, but today is sort of our little bit more of our last focus review day. So at this point, it should be obvious why we're reviewing, because we've covered a whole lot of material, but just a reminder about the research done by Herman Ebbinghaus about the forgetting curve and how we only retain about 20%. Sorry, we retain about 80%. We lose 20% of information that we've learned in just one day. And by a week, by 7 days, we've lost 60% and only have kept 40% of that information. So we don't keep coming back and checking in on what we've learned, then chances are that our brain has pushed it out and made room for something else. But if we keep coming back and reviewing that information, touching base with it, making sure it makes sense, then not only do we remember more of it because we keep coming back to it, but also it takes us longer to forget it. So our brain holds it for a longer period of time because we're saying that it's important for us to remember at this time. So it's really important to spiral back and connect with the information that you've been learning in order to not get to the end when you're doing your culminating your exam and being like, I have no idea what we did at the beginning of this course, and now I need to go back and relearn it completely. Not useful way of spending your time. But first, before we look at the highlights and dive into some mixed practice, let's do some mental math and activate our brain for today. So I don't believe in mad math minutes. They cause stress and anxiety in students and don't generally help. So instead, we look at strategies that can be applied in various situations that help you get from one point to another using tools and strategies that are comfortable for you. So our question today is 284, take away 96. So, and we're going to use a strategy of adjusting one number in order to make our numbers a little bit more friendly. So looking at this, I'm going to say, well, 96 is pretty close to 100. So I'm going to think about it and say, okay, well, 284, my bad, I'm sorry. Take away 100 is equal to 184. But I only want to take away 96. So that means I took away an extra 4. So because I took away an extra 4, that means I need to add in an extra 4 so that I get the right amount. So it's like from here to here, added an extra 4. So that means I need to, I'm just trying to think, did I do that right? Yes. No. Sorry, my brain is, this is one of those ones that we always go backwards. I'm going to do it on a number line to see, because sometimes doing it on a number line makes more sense. So if I go back all the way, I take away 100, I get to 184. So, but I took away an extra 4. So that means that I need to go back up 4 in order so that I'm only taking away 96, which means that I'm at 188. It's because I didn't add, don't know why you changed. I didn't add 4, I took away 4. That's why it's going opposite what I was expecting. There we go. So you can just do it algebraically. You can do it with a number line. That, for me, the number line helps me visualize it in terms of the direction that I need to move. But either way, it works. So that's can be an easy way to just adjust your numbers as you see fit. All right, so we're going to cover the highlights. We're going to review everything that we've done so far this year. So starting all the way back to the beginning in Unit 1. So in Lesson 1, we were earning an income. So we looked at salary, which is how much you earn per year. we looked at piecework, which is when you earn money per job, per individual thing that you make or complete. And we looked at how to read and understand job advertisements so that you can figure out what information you need to provide and what information or what they're requiring. And they hope for the person who's going to hire has what sort of education or qualifications. Then in lesson 2, we looked at commission and hourly rates. So hourly rates is when you get paid per hour. So you have a set wage that you get paid for the number of hours that you work. Remember, minimum wage right now is $15.50. So as an adult in Canada, you need to be making at least that to be working legally. If you make less than that, then you are not, it's not legal work, and your worker rights are being infringed. So that also then leads into overtime, which is that if you work over your set number of hours that you are scheduled to work, that they need to pay you more at a higher rate. So usually overtime is time and a half, or sometimes double time, but usually it's time and a half. Then we looked at commission, which is when you earn based on how much you sell. So this is often how real estate works, or sometimes in retail and stores, or sometimes in like car sales. These are people who are trying to sell you something, who are working really hard to sell you something so that they make more money or they make any money. Lesson 3 is gross and net pay. So we looked at their gross income, which is your entire income, and then your net income, which is your take-home income, which you find by taking your gross income and subtracting the standard deductions, which are EI and CPP and income tax. And then we looked at monthly expenses and how to make a plan for budgeting and knowing what you're going to be spending every month so that you are on top of your finances. In lesson 4, we looked at paying taxes, where we looked at the tax paperwork that you need to fill out. And then we talked about tax brackets, which remember are like little pockets. And once you fill up one pocket, then you move on to the next pocket. And then if you fill up that pocket, you move on to the next pocket. And so this is how it works in order for you to pay your taxes. You don't just pay more taxes if you make more money. It's a little bit more complicated than that. And then we looked at hidden taxes, which are jewelry, cigarette, and gasoline taxes specifically, that we don't recognize that there's taxes already built into the price that we're paying. In lesson 5, we looked at making purchases, where we talked about making change with the fewest coins possible, which is usually when people are paying with cash, makes the most sense. We talked about sales tax with PST, GST, and HST, and then discounts and estimating costs. So figure out how to use rough information so that when you're in a store, you can figure out if you have enough money, even if you're not doing the exact calculations, how that can be a really useful strategy. In unit 2, we continue to look at buying decisions, where we looked at the best buy, which often sort of is seen as the cheapest buy, but sometimes you need to pay attention to what is your best based on your situation. So it's really important to think of the whole context, not just which is the cheapest. We looked at incentive programs, so how businesses and organizations try to encourage you to spend money at their business over other competitors. And we figured out how to convert dollars from Canadian dollars to US dollars and back. In lesson 7, we looked at simple interest and how this is one way that you can calculate interest when investing or borrowing money. Simple interest is only calculated on your principal amount, so not on any of the interest. It's only on the initial amount that you borrowed or invested. And the formula is I equals PRT. Then in lesson 8, we connected simple interest to compound interest, which we looked at more in detail in lesson 9. But we figured out that remember that simple is only on the principal, whereas compound is on the principal and the interest. And we compared using spreadsheets to see how they actually makes a difference when you're using compound interest, how you end up earning more money. So in lesson 9, we looked at compounded interest more specifically. Still, that's only calculated, it's calculated on the principal and the interest, the accumulated interest. But we used a formula so that we could calculate, instead of using a spreadsheet where we had to do all of the years, all of the steps, we could then figure out more years just by using a formula. Our formula is A equals P times 1 plus R divided by N, all to the exponent NT. Then in lesson 10, we looked at banking transactions, where we learned about different types of accounts, savings accounts and checking accounts. We looked at different transaction codes and how online banking and debit card banking works, as well as the fees that are associated, particularly with ATMs, how you can end up spending a lot of money just for using the convenience of an ATM. And so you want to sort of make choices about if that is what makes sense for you. In unit 3, we looked at credit cards in lesson 11. So how to apply for one, who's eligible for one, how to choose the right card for you, what makes the most sense for your life, and then also the true cost of borrowing. So how we really, it's not free money, and how different choices that you make might end up costing you a lot more money. So you want to be informed and wise user. In lesson 12, we looked at loans. So we looked at types of different loans. We talked in great detail about payday loans and how these are really dangerous. They advertise like they're a good deal, but they are not. You end up paying ridiculous amounts of interest and fees. And usually it's really hard to get out of the trap of payday loans and be free of that debt. Again, we talked about the cost of loans and how to be able to not pay as much in interest. And we talk about amortization, which is tracking how much money is going towards your payment and how much money, your principal, and how much money is going towards the interest paying for having the loan. All right, so then we are going to look a little bit more detail. We're focusing on lesson 13 through 17. So in lesson 13, we looked at driver's licenses and insurance. So we figured out the graduated licensing system, which is how you get your license in Ontario. So you need your G1 and your G2 first before you can get your final G license. And there's various tests and fees associated with these, and a timeline and rules to make sure you become a safe driver before you are fully licensed. Then we talked about demerit points and how these are added to your record if you are making traffic, disobeying traffic laws and making the road unsafe. So they are added to your record to a total of 15 points if you are found guilty of a traffic ticket offense. They vary per charge. They can also, there could be a license suspension based on what the charges that you're found guilty of. Also speeding tickets, there is a fee and demerit points, and also surcharges that are added to the fee that you are required to pay if you're caught speeding. And then we talked about car insurance and how premiums raise and lower depending on the situation. So it's not a standard one size fits all. There's various reasons why you might be paying more or paying less, and that car insurance is mandatory in Ontario in order to keep everybody protected and safe, so that if an accident does happen, you don't get bankrupt because you have to pay to a bunch of people's medical bills or to fix their vehicle. So it protects you, even though it's something you have to pay every month, it's something that protects you. In lesson 14, we looked at new and used vehicles. So when you are buying a new car, you can generally get exactly what you want, but it's an expensive purchase. There are extra costs involved, like delivery and administration fees. And also it depreciates, it loses value as soon as you drive it off the lot, as soon as you own it. So that is something to consider. So looking at depreciation, we figured out how to calculate that. So it's how fast a new vehicle loses its value. And it's usually about 50% by 4 years of ownership. Each make and model of car is different. So it's not, again, a standardized rate for everyone, but something to look into in terms of how much value you're going to lose and how quickly. Whereas used cars can be cheaper, but they might require repairs because they are used. That's realistic. They also do have extra costs like getting safetied and e-tested in order to make sure that it is safe and environmentally okay to be driving. In lesson 15, we looked at leasing a vehicle. So leasing a car is like a long-term rental. There are both pros and cons to leasing a vehicle. You really need to decide for you and your household what makes the most sense. It isn't something that is clear and the same for everyone. And we talked about how there's kilometer surcharges when you lease a vehicle. So this is when you have excess mileage. So more kilometers that you drove than you were allowed based on your contract. So then you have to times that by your surcharge rate and you're going to end up paying that extra fee. If you don't go over your usage, then you don't have to pay an extra surcharge. So that is the best way to do it if you are leasing a vehicle. Then we looked at the fine print and procedures. And so making sure that you understand the whole contract when you sign a contract. So that there may be a refundable security deposit, something that you pay up front, but then when you return the leased vehicle, you get that back. And that the purchase price at the end of the lease is going to be defined in that contract so that you can know if that's something that you're going to want to choose to do. In lesson 16, we looked at vehicle costs. So this includes this is general, if you're having a vehicle, the general costs, so like gas, maintenance, repairs, insurance. And these can be either monthly or yearly costs. So when you're calculating them, you need to be paying attention to how often you're paying these things. We talked about fuel efficiency and how in Canada we measure it in liters per 100 kilometers. And so that's how far you can go on how much gas. So the lower the number in the Canadian measurement, the more efficient. So the lower number of liters for more kilometers is better. And then from there, we can figure out how to calculate the cost of the fuel that you're paying for, because that's dollars per liter. So first you need to calculate how much fuel you consumed, and then you can multiply that by your price per liters so that you can calculate how much it costs to travel that distance. In lesson 17, we looked at traveling distances, which we looked at maps. So first we looked at paper maps, because though they are used less, it is still a useful tool and important to understand. So they have a scale, and we talked about how to use that scale. And then there's also the given distances on maps that we talked about how you can use that as a rough approximation. Then we looked at technology, particularly Google Maps, and how there's directions so that you can figure out the distance and the time most likely it's going to spend to get from one place to another place. And we talked about how when you are traveling, if you are in bad weather, which we're coming up to more and more as we are in transition time, that you need to slow down, that it is better to arrive alive than to not arrive at all. So better to be late than never, right? So slow down if the weather is bad. Okay, so that is what we've covered. We've gone up to lesson 17. So we just have 18, 19, and 20 left to do next week. And then we will start reviewing. So we are so close to being done. But let's do some practice today about figuring out which questions what strategies we need to use for each questions. So number one, a shoe invests $10,000 at 4% per annum. Remember, per annum means per year, compounded semi-annually for 8 years. How much do they have at the end of 8 years? So remember, because this is here, it says compounded. That means that this is a compound interest question. That's how we know. So if we want to figure out how much they have at the end of 8 years, we're calculating the amount, which is equal to P times 1 plus R divided by N to the exponent NT. Remember, you do not have to have that memorized. You can look it up. That's fine. So our principal is $10,000. Our rate is 4%, which is equal to 0.04. Our number of compounding periods, well, it's semi-annually, so that's twice a year, so that's 2. And our time is 8 years. So then we're going to substitute that into our formula. So 10,000 times 1 plus 0.04 divided by 2 to the exponent 2 times 8. Then, of course, you can do this in steps, or you can do this all in one go on your calculator. You do what makes the most sense for you. Oops, so that I didn't put in the right place. Was not paying attention. So again, as I've talked about, the joy of Desmos is that it shows you really clearly what you've done so that you can see your mistakes. Okay, so we have $13,727.86. 13,727.86. So that's how much a shoe has after 8 years, then how much interest was earned. So interest is equal to your total amount, take away your principal. So the total amount was $13,727.86. Their principal was $10,000. So that means they made $3,727.86. And that's how we do that compound interest question. Number 2, a car has a gas tank that is 48 liters big and can travel 720 kilometers on one tank. Car B has a gas tank that is 55 liters big and can travel 690 kilometers on one tank. Which has the better fuel economy? So for this, remember, fuel economy is liters per 100 kilometers. So let's put them in the same, let's put them in that and simplify it and see which one has the lower number of liters per 100 kilometers. So for car A, we have 48 liters per 720 kilometers. We want to figure out how much that is per 100 kilometers. So we can solve for x by isolating for x by multiplying both sides by 100. So we have 48 times 100 divided by 720. And that's going to tell us the number of liters that fuel economy is. So 6.667. So we're going to say 6.67 liters per 100 kilometers is, well, no, really, sorry, I've written that wrong. 6.67 is equal to X. So what that means is that the fuel economy is 6.67 liters per 100 kilometers. So for car B, we have 55 liters, so a bigger tank, over 690 kilometers. So it can't go as far, equals Y over 100 kilometers. So again, we're gonna do 55 times 100 divided by 690 is equal to Y. So do that on our calculator. So we get 7.97. So the fuel economy for car B is 7.97. Sorry about that, 7.97 liters per 100 kilometers. So have we answered the question yet? The question says, which car has the better fuel economy? So we need to actually say which car has the better fuel economy. So car A has the better fuel economy. And this is a fuel economy question. Sorry, I forgot to say that at the beginning. Okay. Number 3, Gopal finds the previous year's model of a compact car at a used car dealer and for sale privately. Both are advertising it for $20,000, which is the better buy. So once we think about all of the individual extras, which one is going to be the better option? To buy it used, or sorry, buy it from the dealer or buy it privately. So for the dealership, it tells us that the safety and e-tested are included. We need to pay HST on the full price. There's a $45 licensing fee, $30 fuel fee. There's already a 3-month warranty included, but you can do $1,250 warranty, extended warranty plus HST for 1 year if you want it. So first we need to figure out the HST on the price. So we have $20,000 times 1.13, because that will give us the full. No, let's just do the HST. So we're gonna have to add them all up together anyway. So 0.13. So to just figure out the HST, so that's $2,600. So the total, so let's not think about, we're going to ignore the warranty because we don't know if Gopal wants the warranty or not. So we have the $20,000 plus the $2,600 for the HST, plus the $45 licensing fee, plus the $30 fuel fee. So that's $22,675 that without the warranty to pay at the dealership. So for the private sale, you need to do the safety and the e-test. So safety for $60, e-test for $30, and both of those need to be HST. We need to calculate on them. So let's do that first. So we're going to do 60 plus 30 because we need to do the HST on both of them times 0.13. So 60 plus 30 is 90 times 0.13 for 13% HST, which is $11.70. So then we need to do the PST. Remember, privately, we only do PST on the sale of the vehicle. So $20,000 and PST, remember, is 0.08. So we're going to calculate that. So $20,000 times 0.08, which is $1,600. So then the total is going to be the price of the car, $20,000, plus the PST, plus the safety, plus the e-test, plus the HST on those, plus the $45 licensing fee. So that equals 21,000. And then there's more to add on this one. So 20,000 plus 1,600 plus 60 plus 30 plus 1170 plus 45 is equal to $21,746.70. So have you answered the question? No, we need to decide which is the better buy. Well, it is cheaper to buy the private sale. You don't spend as much money, about $1,000 cheaper, but you have no warranty. So you have to decide for yourself. This isn't a clear decision because it's going to be different for every person. So I'm just going to say, to answer the question, cheaper to buy private, but no warranty. So that is a decision you need to make for yourself, is which is the better buy for you. So in this type of question, when there isn't a clear right answer, I would accept you to say either buying from the dealership or the private sale, but you'd have to give me a reason. So you have to say, I would prefer to buy the private sale because I want to pay the cheaper price. Or you could say, I prefer to go with the dealership because I want to have the 3-month warranty that's included, or I want to pay for the extra, even though again, it's more expensive to have the extended warranty. You, again, justify what it is that the decision you want to make. That's the most important part. Number 4, calculate the cost of exceeding the speed limit by 21 kilometers per hour in a community safety zone and the number of demerit points. So this is a vehicle licensing question because we're looking at speed limit and demerit points. I have copied and pasted all of these charts in that you might need to go back and actually look in your IEL booklet when you're doing these questions to find the right, all of the pages, all of the charts that you need. So when we are exceeding the speed limit by 21 kilometers an hour, that's in this range here where it's 16 to 29 kilometers an hour over the speed limit is 3 demerit points. So first we can say it's 3 demerit points. That's just looking that up on the chart. You don't have to do anything other than look it up, find the right one. Okay. So then here with the fine, we say, okay, well, that's 21 kilometers an hour over is between 20 and 34. And so it's $7.50 per kilometer an hour. So the speeding fine is 21 kilometers an hour times $7.50. Now this is in a community safety zone, so they're higher, but I found the right chart. So again, you need to find the right chart when you're looking it up. So 21 times 750 is $57.50. So you have to pay that fine, plus when every speeding ticket fine, you have to pay a victim services fine, which is this chart, pink chart here. So you look at what your fine is. We calculate our fine. It's $157.50. So that's here. So we have to pay. So the victim service fine is $35. So that means in total, we pay $157.50 plus 35. Well, that is going to be $192.50. So that's the fine that you'd have to pay, plus you would get 3 demerit points. So the tricky part with this is really finding all of the charts, which I've already done here. So making sure you're looking at the right charts for this. Number 5, Ani decided to purchase their vehicle after the lease ran out. The purchase price of the vehicle is $27,463. Their previous lease payments were $484 monthly for 4 years, not including HST. They originally gave a down payment of $6,750. Their lease agreement includes 20,000 kilometers with a 16-cent surcharge. Ani drove 23,450 kilometers. What is the total purchase price of the vehicle if you include the cost of leasing? So this is a leasing vehicle question. There is a lot going on in it. So let's figure out what we need to figure out. So we are the purchase price of the vehicle, we're going to need to know eventually, but we don't have to do any calculations with. We need to figure out the payments, how much we paid in payments in total. So let's do that. So here when it says that it's not including HST, that means you need to calculate the HST. Doesn't mean that you don't pay HST. It means that you need to calculate it. That has not been included. So to figure out our payments, we have $484 per payment times 4 years, but they're times 12 because there's 12 payments per year, and then times, we're just going to do 1.13 to include both the total price and the HST that we need to calculate. So see, sometimes it makes more sense to do one or the other. Also, your opinion might be different in terms of when it makes sense to do one and when it makes sense to do the other. So that's fine. So we get $26,252.16. 26,252.16. So that's how much Ani paid in payments over the 4 years. Then they gave a down payment of $6,750. We don't have to do anything with that. We just add that in. And we need to figure out the mileage, the overage. So the mileage surcharge we need to figure out. So Ani drove 23,450 kilometers. They were allowed to drive 20,000 kilometers. So we subtract that off. And then we times that by 0.16 to get how much the cost is going to be for each of those extra kilometers. Oops, extra 0. And then times that by 16 cents for every kilometer. So that's $552. So then the total is going to be the buyout purchase price. So the value of the car now, which is $27,463, plus how much Ani paid in payments, which is $26,252.16, plus the down payment, which was $6,750, plus the mileage surcharge, which is $552. So we're going to add up those together. And that will tell us how much, if Ani buys out the vehicle now, how much they would have spent on the vehicle in total, just in terms of the lease. So $61,017.16. So that would be the total purchase price, including the cost of leasing. I guess it really depends on what the vehicle is, if that is a good buy or not, or if that feels really expensive. So you need a bit more information to decide if that is a good choice or not. All right. This one, number 6, you borrowed $5,000 and will pay it back with compound interest after 3 years. How much interest do you pay if the rate is 4.8% compounded monthly? This is another compound interest question. We've already done one, so we're going to skip over that. This one, estimate the cost of buying a computer in the following 3 situations, which is the best buy. So Winnipeg Tech it costs $497.45 plus PST and GST. PST in Manitoba is 7%. If you buy the Thunder Bay, T-Bay Computers, it is $535 plus HST. If you buy the US online at USA Deals Online, it is $325 plus $35 delivery. There's no tax, but you need to convert it from US dollars to Canadian dollars. So which is the best option? So we need to calculate each of these things. So remember, GST is 5% in any place that has GST. So to calculate the total cost, we do $497.45 times 1 for the price. 0.7% plus 5% is 12%, so 1.12. So that is going to be $557.14. Okay, so that's option 1. Option 2, if we do it at T-Bay Computers, the price is $535 times HST, so times 1.13. HST is 13% in Ontario. So we get $604.55. Not $60, sorry. Okay. Then for the US deals online, so we have $325 plus $35. So that's $360. That's how much we're actually going to pay. But we need to convert it to Canadian because that's $360 US dollars. So if we have $1 US is the rate is $1.27 Canadian dollars. Because we want Canadian dollars, I put Canadian on the top. So we're going to find X to $360 US dollars. So we do 127 times 360 divided by 1. So 127 times 360 is $457.20. So which is the best buy? So USA Deals Online is the cheapest buy. And again, you get to decide if that is the best buy for you or not. But that's what we can calculate. All right, we don't have time for this last question, but this is an amortization question, so go check that out if you need a reminder. So now we've completed units 1 through 3, so you should have submitted lessons 1 through 17 now for marking, so I can give you feedback. And because we were so close to the end of the course, you want to get feedback so you know how you're doing and you can improve if you need to. So if you have any questions or concerns, please reach out and connect with me. I'm here to support you however I can. Give me a call at the office at 807-737-1488, extension 2209, or toll free 1-800-667-3703. Email me at bronwyn.slate@nnec.on.ca, or connect with me through Facebook at B Slate Wahsa. Remember, all of our videos, this one included, are up on YouTube, where my channel is B Slate Wahsa, and we have a playlist called MEL3E. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you have a lovely day. Mwich.